Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a smart person, and I'm not saying that she couldn't be a smart person, but she chooses to be deeply, deeply ignorant despite holding a position of power. And what I'm talking about, of course, is believing in QAnon conspiracy theories, talking about Jewish laser beams from space causing wildfires, to also being deeply anti-trans. She's got some pretty important beliefs, and a lot of it's based on just willful ignorance. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that she says is just based on nothing but, again, believing in conspiracy theories that require. Basically, it's almost as if the person that writes those chain emails, remember those when those were a thing, and just terrible right-wing memes, gets elected to office. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I don't know if she as much writes them, but just shares them everywhere. So that's who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. And so she's in power and is not a good person, but every once in a while, she'll just show how deeply ignorant she is and how dumb and petty she is. And this is one of those examples. In fact, she recently complained about the Guam National Guard ambushing her in her office. Oh, that's interesting. Now, Greene's remarks were part of a letter filled with complaints. I didn't know it was festive season already. I mean, you know, I got a lot of problems, and now you people are going to hear about it in a very strongly worded letter. It's amazing. This is the most Karen energy I've ever seen from a sitting U.S. congressperson. But okay, anyway. So now, one of the complaints actually has to do with Tucker Carlson and the Pentagon itself. Okay. And also how apparently Joe Biden is engaged in a, quote, mass military occupation of the Capitol. Forgetting, of course, the whole reason why the National Guard is at the Capitol, it's to prevent her QAnon friends from trying to take over again. Here we go. But again, she takes shots at the military, which is interesting, because she went after a Pentagon spokesperson for going after Tucker Carlson for saying, well, this.
So we've got new hairstyles and maternity flight suits. Pregnant women are going to fight our wars. It's a mockery of the U.S. military. While China's military becomes more masculine as it's assembled the world's largest navy, our military needs to become, as Joe Biden says, more feminine, whatever feminine means anymore, since men and women no longer exist. The bottom line is it's out of control, and the Pentagon's going along with this. Again, this is a mockery of the U.S. military and its core mission, which is winning wars.
Wait. How do ships get more? How does a navy get more masculine by adding more ships? Do ships have a gender? I just realized that in watching this video again. It's just like, wait a minute, hold on here. China's getting more masculine because it has a bigger navy. What? I don't know. Maybe he's thinking of the semen inside of the long cylindrical tubes, you know, with the submarines. I don't know. I don't know. It makes no sense. And here's the thing about this. None of what, you know, Tucker Carlson actually, none of his commentary, his points actually make any sort of sense. Again, I'm no fan of the Pentagon, but here's the thing. He's like, oh, pregnant women are going to fight our wars. No, they're not. Pregnant women aren't being put on the front lines. Besides, there's more jobs in the military than just being a frontline soldier. You know, there's people that actually sit and they do office jobs. They do, intelligence. They do reconnaissance. They fly drones. A lot of those, at least that's pretty problematic. But seriously, that there's more to the military than holding a gun and shooting at people. All right, which I wouldn't want a pregnant woman to do that. Well, obviously not. But Tucker Carlson, if he knew anything about the military, he would already know that. But again, what do you expect from an incredibly rich, pampered Swanson heir? Honestly. All right. So, or an insane conspiracy theorist in the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene. So now, getting back to her, all right, she says, oh, they ambushed me. The Guam National Guard ambushed me. Well, it turns out that service members in Guam were actually responding to statements made by Marjorie Taylor Greene last week. So let me give you that. Here's what she said on a live stream. I'm sorry, not on a live stream, at a conference. Quote, I'm a regular person. No, you're not. And I wanted to take my regular person, normal, everyday American values, which is we love our country. We believe our hard-earned tax dollars should just go for America, not for what China, Russia, Middle East, Guam, or whatever, wherever, right? If we want to build roads, if we want to put money into schools, if we want to build border walls, we want it right here at home. Okay, look, I get the sentiment. US as progressives, yeah, we agree that we want more of our tax money to go to things that help us domestically. We want better things. We want, Medicare for all. But the problem here is with conservatives who say this is really an attack on foreign aid, for example. So now the problem isn't foreign aid. That actually comprises about less than 1% of the annual budget domestically in the United States. So, when it comes to the federal budget, most of our budget actually goes into the military, not into foreign aid. So it gets spent domestically. And so, again, the actual issue is we spend billions and billions of dollars on the Pentagon, which goes ultimately to defense contractors. That actually doesn't go to the troops. I mean, you go to the lowest paid E1, they're barely making minimum wage. So the issue is, again, the difference between the right and left, the so-called populist right, populist left, is that the so-called populist right is all about spending ungodly amounts of money on the military. And that's really it. I mean, Trump himself, right, while promising to, get us out of the wars, also promised that he was the most militaristic president ever, and increased the military budget of the United States by billions of dollars, and promised to rebuild our military. Now, wait, if you don't plan on getting into wars, why do you need to, quote unquote, rebuild our military? It's so he can feel good. He can get some sort of weird boner out of watching tanks roll down the street. I mean, it's super weird, right? Kind of weird. But we spend on average annually about $690 billion in the Department of Defense. As far as our total budget, defense spending counts for about 15% of all federal spending and roughly half of all discretionary spending. So foreign aid, it's not really a problem. Foreign intervention, now that's a problem. It's basically American imperialism. That is the problem. That's where the money is going. And both Republicans and Democrats, by the way, fall all over themselves to shovel more money into, the military industrial complex at the expense of the troops, at the expense of the American people. That money goes into buying weapons, defense contractors, weapons programs, jets that don't work, don't fly, anything like that, and that kind of stuff. And yet, Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene they're literally not letting you know. They're lying to you, basically, about the reality on the ground. Okay? And they're just telling you, well, Biden bad, women bad, foreign aid bad. And that's essentially what it is. You could have all this stuff. You could have good things in this country if it weren't for those dirty foreigners and the libs that love them. You know what I'm saying? That's their message. All right. But here's where it gets better. So she said we shouldn't be giving money to the country of Guam. Well, there's a good response to that. A big omission. Okay. Guam's not a country. Guam is a U.S. territory. It's part of the United States. In fact, more than 120 years, since 1899, Guam has been an official part of the U.S. Of the United States of America. So, I'm just saying, sending money to Guam is sending money to America because it's America. God, they're so stupid. Like there's so, and it's not, it's just, it's willful. It's willful out there. There's just like 5 seconds it takes to do a Google search. Like, is Guam part of the United States? Yes, it is. But they treat it like Puerto Rico, which is also part of the United States. Painfully stupid. Now, in response to this, the delegate Michael San Nicolas, Guam's representative in the U.S. House, he decided to basically walk like a couple of, go down like a flight of stairs or whatever, take that long trip from his office to Marjorie Taylor Greene's office. And so now he did that not to menace her, but to try to educate her and to bring cookies. Take a look. Oh, so they, service members, American service members, you can see on one of their, uniforms, U.S. Army on it. They were there, and they're like, "Hey, we want to talk to Marjorie Taylor, to Congressman Greene. We brought cookies and we brought some information about Guam, and all right, hey, it's very well intentioned. It seemed like a good idea. Spread a little knowledge, bring a few cookies. It's just a good heartfelt kind of like, hey, we're American, just like you. Yeah, we're not white, so we're not quite like you, and I guess that might be a problem. But we're Americans, and here this is a peace offering. Well, apparently that did not go over well. All right, so now Greene accused Democrats, the Democratic Party, just Democrats overall, of, quote, disrespecting our military and, quote, using them as political theater and drama on Capitol Hill. I can't. That's such a bad person. Such a bad person. How can you take that and how can you reject cookies? How can you reject cookies? I mean, seriously, that's like the most like, and by the way, I forgot the aide's name already, but they seem like a pretty nice guy. Oh yeah, thank you for what you do. Oh, I bet she'd love this. And then she comes off with just raging Karen energy and was like, I can't believe the Democrats were trying to send me cookies. What were they, macadamia? I know some of you might actually like that, but I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, Delegate San Nicolas, all he said in response was, "Hey, we were just giving the guardsmen a tour and spreading some goodwill." And by the way, that's not the only office they stopped by. They stopped by other offices, gave out cookies and information and all that stuff. So, this is a great example of how Marjorie Taylor Greene is not only a deeply ignorant person, but she's just a terrible human being overall. I mean, come on. Maybe she realized she was embarrassed about how wrong she was, and instead of admitting her mistake, she attacked. And in reality, she disrespected Americans. She disrespected American troops, the military, all to be extremely partisan and petty. And not only was she factually wrong about everything, just about everything here, but also, again, decided to remain ignorant and attack people for what was a good, gesture here. She is not a good faith actor, okay? But understand that this is what you can expect and should expect out of the Trump wing of the party. Again, Donald Trump might, is not president anymore, okay? But the people that he has spurred on to run and that have actually won their elections, they're in power. They're still in power, okay? And they hold authority. I mean, this is what you can expect out of them, out of Republicans. Instead of owning up to mistakes, nope, just divisiveness, just attack. And by the way, she does want the National Guard out of D.C. Now, actually, look, I think that would be great. But the reason that, again, that they're there in the first place, that we've had National Guard troops have to spend time in Washington, is again because her and her QAnon buddies threatened violence because they decided not to accept the results of the election of Joe Biden. So in the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is a terrible person and representative of the Trump type of thought. And there was Trumpism, and then there was the same thing that was before Trumpism, and that's all this is. The name changes, but the kind of just irrational hatred and conspiracy thinking continues. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.